Alright, so this is The Voice in the Night. This is the episode where Korra, she joins sort of this task force to take down these equalist people and try to find this Amon guy, and stop him, because the city's terrified of this guy now. They don't know what's going to happen. And she initially doesn't want to, but then sort of gets coaxed into it and rushes into it thinking that she can overcome her fear by just confronting it head on without thinking too much about it. And sure enough, it almost gets her to lose everything. She comes out all right, but there's sort of this threat that, she will be like the ultimate, like the great victory death when all this is over, which is not very encouraging. And she realizes she should have confronted her fears a more logical way, like talking about it and so on and so forth. So the one pattern I'm starting to notice with this show is that, I mean, which is fine for one or two episodes, but it's like, I don't know, it's starting to become this steady pattern is Korra's going to rush into something without thinking about it, realize she made a mistake, and, acknowledge it at the end, essentially. Sort of the old school Sandra Bullock, Julia Roberts movie formula, and I hated in those movies, and it's starting to get to me here a little bit. I don't know if they're going to do variations on that or if they're going to mix it up a bit, which they're not bad lessons that they're teaching. Again, and the way that they're using Korra in many respects is very clever, because I'm seeing this stuff, I'm seeing how she's reacting to this, and again, sort of connecting it back to sort of our generation and the generation right after us. This is something that occurs a lot. I mean, the scene where she's invited to a party, it's supposed to be this big social get-together, and of course, the Tarrlok guy. I like this guy, by the way. He's a good, sort of, sneaky, little pain in the ass. I like that guy. But he puts her in front of all these reporters, and they're asking all these questions, are you running away? Why is this more important? Why is this more important? And she doesn't know how to confront these questions or these feelings that are suddenly being thrown at her because they're so new. So she instead doesn't want to think of herself as being afraid or a coward, even though she's feeling this great fear. So she just rushes into it, and she feels the more forward and the more she can take something on, the better she'll be able to fight it off, which is sometimes the case, but not always. Again, it's about that balance. And the mentor comes and says maybe it's best to talk about it, and she chooses not to. She's afraid to acknowledge her weakness and her fears, and at the very end she realizes that she should have. And it's effective at the end. Like, for me, it holds up okay because the endings are always so nicely done, and they're so good at summing up what the problem was and what they should have done with it. But it's the lead-in, and maybe it is because they feel a little rushed at times. I think that's a huge part of it, because if this took maybe 2 episodes or something like that to really sort of dive into sort of the fear she's feeling, which it's not that it doesn't at all, it's that I think you really need to understand what she's going through. Like when she calls out Amon and says, let's sell this right now, you and me, blah, 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 that seemed very much out of nowhere. And I think if you had time to really sort of show it, like even though she's helping Tarrlok fight these people, maybe she's still having the bad dreams, or maybe she's still having this fear, or maybe it's keeping her up at night, and that's not working, so she decides to try this. That little bit of time does add up, and Avatar was usually pretty good at balancing that out. Sometimes they would be a little rushed here and there, but I mean, like, you look at Zuko and how great that character's developed, and how much time they took to develop him. So I heard there's stuff about like how they didn't really have time to develop this, or they didn't, or not time to develop it, time to get more episodes out of it, because I guess it's 12, and whether or not they didn't know if it's going to be one season or not. If that is the case, it kind of shows. I would like a little bit more sort of just more time on these. I think that's really it. I don't mind that she does this stuff. I think there just needs to be a little bit more time explaining or showing the process of how she sort of worked into this way. You know what it reminds me of? Remember that episode of, it's like the one episode I didn't like in Avatar, that was the Bato of the Water Tribe one, where Aang is suddenly doing all this stuff where it's like, where did this come from? Like, this does not seem like him. And everyone's like, oh, he's a kid. I'm like, but it's just not his character. And if they really delve into showing much more time, if they put a lot more time into showing how this could happen, it could be explained. But because it was so rushed and just thrown in there really fast, and it's like just a couple of lines, it didn't come off as very effective. So I'm starting to get a little bit of that vibe here. Like I said, sort of the endings save it, because I think they are very emotional, and they come to grips with this stuff, but I don't know. It just feels a little rushed to me. But I guess what I was saying before, I'm sorry, I got a little sidetracked there, I imagine. But I was talking about sort of like with our generation and sort of the millennials too, is that whenever sort of confronted with sort of especially online, when you're hoping just to have a normal conversation in a chat room or something like that, and then you're just suddenly attacked, or someone wants to threaten you, whether it be a troll or someone that just has a different opinion and just really wants to confront you, or just someone really emotional, whatever, you don't always know how to take it. And there's, of course, a lot of famous conversations on blogs or forums or whatever of either just people getting really emotional, or even more famous people getting really emotional and just totally attacking. And it's because they don't know what to do. this is something very new to them. So I think, like I said, the stuff she's going through and sort of the issues they're attacking, maybe in any other time period I would sort of go, I don't know, it seems a little sort of cliched or whatever, but I guess I see more of it nowadays. Of people just feeling a lot of emotion and not knowing what to do with it. And because the social media has allowed us to act on our emotions without even thinking about it, that's exactly what we do. We react without even thinking about it, and we're not always... The guidance now does not come from people giving advice or anything. It comes from our mistakes, which in many ways is not always bad, but in many other ways, if you don't catch those mistakes, you can keep making mistakes and they can get worse and worse. So I'm not against what they're trying to get across with this character. I'm not against her being like a blowhard and, really proud of everything, but insecure as well, because they have her learning the lessons, and I think it does connect a lot to, again, sort of this rise in technology. I mean, for us, it's the social media, and here, it's just the rise of media, I guess. I mean, the fact that there is a media now. Right down to every episode starting off with that announcer, which I love, by the way. I love that they're doing that. You know, last time on Legend of Korra, Korra has a new threat from the Benders, and blah. It's like, I love that, and I love that kind of voice. So every time it starts off like that, I'm like, yes, I love that. So, but I get it. What I would like to see is more time dedicated to these, because as of now, like I said, they just seem a touch rushed. So yeah, that's about it for this one. I mean, nothing too much else. I like this Tarrlok guy. I like this this villain, this Amon guy. But it looks like there's some sort of romance going on with the Mako character and the daughter of Mr. Ford, essentially. I mean, that's Henry Ford's who they're obviously trying to make that guy be. But yeah, so, and I sort of like this being pulled in different directions too, with the on the one hand she sort of wants to focus on the bending, on the other hand now she's in this pro bending tournament, and on the other hand she's also in this task force thing now that's trying to take down these bad people. So I like she's sort of being pulled everywhere, and that's a big heavy weight, on someone that's said to be, have so many great expectations, essentially. So, yeah, so I still like it. I hope some of the more episodes have a little bit more time dedicated to this, but again, it's only 12. I mean, that's tricky, especially for, coming off of something like Avatar, which did this so well. So, yeah, we'll just see where it goes from there. That's about it. Take care.